Hey everyone, it's been a while, and I hope you're all doing great. To be honest, at my end, I've mainly been playing Street Fighter 6 and Third Strike, so I haven't been focused on shmups. But my internet went down for a week recently, and I remembered that I had a score to settle with Totenpatch since last year, so I decided to sit down and practice it alone. So what you're watching right now is actually not my first 1-0 of the game, since I already cleared it 4 days ago during what I thought would be a practice run that ended up clearing anyway. So I had to do it again today to capture the run on video, but both runs ended up being a bit similar in the end anyway, so it doesn't make a huge difference. The difficulty of this game is a bit strange, since it's actually very hard on paper, but it's also very consistent once you've figured out a route, and it gives you an insane amount of bombs, at least over 30 when counting all the extra extents. So what happened was it was actually rather easy to redo the 1-0 once I had done it once, which I thought was interesting. And having so many bombs, in my opinion, it is both good and bad, because it makes the game quite approachable when you use all the resources, but it also means that you can trivialize entire sections of the game. And more importantly, you can lose up to 6 bombs for a single mistake, which is completely soul crushing and makes it so that playing safe is strongly recommended, unless you decide to play for score, which I didn't. So I'm not going to talk much about the scoring system because I don't understand it first, and I know that it has to do with picking up hidden bees that you can uncover using the tip of your laser shot and destroying enemies in sequence with a particular timing to create combo chains. This run is fully focused on survival, and I end up getting the second score extend without knowing how to score anyway. So what I'll say right off the bat is there's actually not that much going on during the first 3 stages of the game, and they're mostly easy, so I'll take this moment to share my thoughts on Totenpatch. So playing this today, almost 30 years after it was released in arcades, feels crazy because it holds up so well, even by today's standards. This is a game that could come out today and still feel like an amazing game. It was only Cave's second arcade release, but you can feel that all the secret sauce, all the secret ingredients that makes their game feel special are already there. The sprites look beautiful, movement feels crisp, the laser and the hypers feel powerful, and there's chaos in the game in terms of gameplay, but there's also very deliberate game design, and there's a method to the madness overall. So it's a very well polished game that had so much influence over shmups, and I don't think the genre would still be around today without this game. I don't think I would be making a video about a shmup today if not for this game. So I'm very thankful to be able to experience it for the first time today. I'd never played this back in the day because I was not into shmups, but it is definitely a huge game and one of the best shmups of all time. To me, it kind of feels like the Street Fighter 2 of Danmaku, of Bullet Hell, if that makes sense. So yeah, I have huge respect for this game. So I'll mention some general advice to help clear the game, at least for a 1-0. The first one is making sure to use all your bombs. The game gives so many bombs. It seems obvious, but you'd be surprised how much easier the game gets when you use all of them. You don't actually have to dodge all that much to get the 1-0, but you will have to make tough decisions on whether to risk dodging a pattern or not. And most of the time I've found that if you're just going for a 1-0, it's actually not worth dodging most of them, which feels a little strange, I'll admit. Secondly, I'll say try to not mentally break down when you make mistakes. This is a game that can be quite cruel sometimes, and you can easily fall into chain deaths or restart hell And I would say that unless you've lost at least 2 lives by the end of stage 3, which is the stage we're looking at right now, you probably should not restart the game. I would keep going if I were you. You can at least make 1 or 2 huge mistakes and still get the 1-0, which is not the case for some of the later cave games. I've seen people online advise to just learn how to no miss no bomb the first 3 stages and then bomb the rest of the game. But I've tried it and I honestly would not recommend going that way. It's actually easier to clear in my opinion if you learn an approximate route through stages 4 to 6, which are definitely harder, and you know that you will have to bomb through them anyway, but they're actually by far the most fun part of the game, especially stage 5 I think is amazing and super fun. So I would recommend spending some time learning the later stages, because that's where you'll have the most fun with the game. In comparison, the first 3 stages are actually quite boring. And finally, I'll say don't play this when tired or tilted. That goes for most shots, but I felt it the most with this game because it actually has some pretty fast bullets for Danmaku, and it seems to have limited bullet ceiling compared to later cave games, so you will need some semblance of reaction time in some sections, which for most shmups I would say is not that relevant, but in this case I definitely felt it a few times, that, you know, making a clutch dodge at one point was important. I'm not someone who gets frustrated with games, because I've played fighting games that had a ton of BS, but I'll admit this game actually hurt my soul a few times, because it's not that hard overall, but it is easy to feel yourself, start feeling yourself and lose an entire run on some of the dumbest of mistakes. So you have to stay focused. See here, I actually already lost a life on the bit of a fumble, which is not great, but I'll still keep going even though I lost. I think it was 2 bombs at least, which in another cave game would be, in a different cave game would be pretty bad, but in this case it's actually probably fine. So overall I would say this is one of the easier cave clears, but you will still need decent fundamentals and decent decision making to get the 1-0. So people online will say this is an easy game. I don't think it's that easy. It's not hard, but it's medium low, I would say, for a cave game, which is still challenging compared to most games. So now I'll go back to the run, since we're getting to the more interesting sections of the game. And actually the past a couple of sections with Justine were getting to be a little challenging. So this stage 3 boss is actually not that bad. I think the later half of the stage is more difficult than the boss, but still you have to be a bit cautious. I used bombs. It's very doable without using bombs, but at this point I'm going for consistency more than anything, and it's just not worth losing. See, I have 3 bombs right now. A death would be devastating at this point, because it would mean that the 1-0 would get much more difficult to get, so it's just not worth taking too many risks. And so you have to make those decisions in real time, which is fun, but sometimes it gets bad. So stage 4 I think is really cool. This is where the game starts to shine, in my opinion, in terms of game design. It feels really fun, and also of course beautiful. But this is a cool stage that you can go through. If you have a good route, you can pretty much make it through it unscathed. But still, when you start the game, when you first get to the stage, it looks a bit hectic and difficult. I would say overall it's not that difficult once you understand it, but it's still very easy to make a big mistake that could cost you a lot. For instance, at this point I have 3 bombs. I definitely don't want to lose them. I want to keep them and take this life as far as I can. So I'm definitely thinking that, you know, this is not a great run because I've already lost a life, but it's an okay run, and if I can go far without spending too many bombs, I can make it up. So at this point this is okay. I'm probably not expecting to clear on this run, but I'm still going because, you know, who knows. The first one I lost a life on stage 2, which is really easy. So you never know with this game. This section is pretty cool, and yeah, I'm using a bomb again here for consistency. This was dodgeable, but it just did not feel worth the risk since I had 4 lives. And here I might actually use more bombs to finish the stage, because I just have too many at this point. And the more bombs you have, the more stressful dodging feels. And in this game you can easily have up to 6 bombs sometimes. So that's one thing I do not like as much about the game. I think, you know, they've improved that in the later games, and for sure it's one thing that makes it so that it could be improved a little. I also have a few qualms with the game, mainly small things. I think there are some visibility issues in the final stage, stage 6, that we'll get to in a few minutes. This is still stage 4 and the stage 4 boss. So this boss has a really cool glitch that you can trigger to freeze him, but I do not go for it. I haven't practiced it. I think it's still very reasonable even without using the glitch, and I have so many bombs. I'm gonna use one here, I think, yeah, because I've got stuck. But if you can use that trick, it's pretty cool. You can look it up online. This game has a lot of content that you can look up, a lot of guides. There's a lot of stuff to make the game easier. There are some strategies that I did not use because I tried them for myself, and I found that they did not really make the game easier for me, even though they looked cool. So it's fun that this game was so popular. Then there are many ways to style on the game, if you will, which is cool. But at the same time, I just want the clear at this point. So this boss is actually not too hard. I think stage 4. The boss that gives me the most trouble is the next one, the stage 5 boss. And actually, I think the stage 5, which is coming soon in a few seconds, I think is the most difficult stage in the game, probably, but also the most fun one. So when I started playing the game, I kind of hated it because I did not understand what you were supposed to do. But now that I've practiced it a bit, I think it's so good in terms of design. It's so fun. It feels good. It actually feels fair for the most part. You do have to use bombs at some points, unless you're super good at the game. But it is fun. There are so many bullets. At first, when I started playing this game, it was really hard to me because there are so many bullets. I didn't know exactly where to look and where to focus my eyes. So I had to work on that a little. Yeah, I have to use a bomb here, which is okay. So the ship I use, I haven't mentioned the ship that I use. It's C-type with laser, so CL. Probably the easiest or second easiest ship to use to get a clear. I really like the laser. It's very helpful to make the boss fights faster, but I do think the shot type makes the stages easier. For instance, if you use CS for this stage, it's actually easier, I think. But still, this is very reasonable and definitely one of the stronger ships in the game. And the most fun to me. I do enjoy using the laser shot. It feels very powerful. So here in the session, I'm weaving from left to right. I'm probably gonna use a bomb soon. Yeah, I should have. So this is a pretty big mistake. Thankfully, I only lost 1 bomb. But if I had more, I probably wouldn't have risked this dodge. So here now feels really crucial because I have so many bombs that I'd rather use them before I die. So I'm gonna use another one here, yeah, for sure. And it will get easier to dodge when I will have fewer bombs or no bombs. Which in this, it's interesting as well, and it kind of feels like RNG, even though it isn't. That, you know, sometimes you get to the stage on a life with no bombs left, and then you can dodge to your heart's content, and it just feels natural and fun, and stress free. But in some runs you won't, and you will have many bombs, and that will feel really stressful because you don't want to throw your run away for that. But still, yeah, I was gonna say I'm doing okay. I just lost another 2 bombs. So this also shows that this is a very lenient game in terms of resources, that gives you so many bombs that you can still make mistakes and you can still clear. Because at this point, I still have 12 bombs, counting the 2 lives that I have. And you get an extend at, I think it's 20 million. So I'm at almost 18, so I'll probably get it in the final stage. This is a cool pattern. This boss I find actually challenging sometimes. And I'm probably feeling a bit stressed out at this point in the run, because I have many bombs and I'm coming up against a boss that has given me so much trouble in the past. This pattern I completely hate. I can't figure out the exact hitboxes. I know there's a cradle strat that you can use to get up there and make it easier, but to me I was not precise enough to do it on every run, so it was actually making it more difficult for me to clear. And here, yeah, this is very dodgeable, but I'm still using a bomb for consistency because a death would be really bad at this point. In terms of resources, so because I'm gonna get another extent soon, this feels very doable, even though I made a bunch of mistakes, which is really cool. And at this point, I'm probably going to use a bunch of bombs in stage 6 anyway, because I have them, and you might as well. So the beginning of the stage is actually a bit challenging, because there's so much that the game throws at you from all directions, and it feels a bit chaotic. It's hard to figure out where things are going to pop up. Actually, I've learned the layout of the stages, and I found that it helped me a lot. Even having so many bombs, that still made it easier. But there's a section of the stage that we're gonna get to soon where I just feel like I have to bomb. I do not have a good enough route to go through. So at this point I'm not using too many bombs early on, which is good. I'm keeping them for their second half of the stage. And yeah, I feel that this is where it gets to be a lot more difficult and less consistent. You can get trapped by some of the enemies that are coming up soon. So the bees that send these green projectiles can really close you off on a corner of the screen, which is really bad. So you have to watch out for those, and at the same time watch for the small blue lasers and the pink projectiles, and this is where it gets pretty difficult. Yeah, that was a clutch bomb. I really needed that one. I was gonna run into that bullet at the bottom of the screen. So this is where the game gets difficult for sure. And I'm not expecting to make it to the boss on this life. I just need to use that bomb for sure before dying. And here, try and take this as far as I can, but it might not be very far because this is a pretty difficult section. So some good dodging here, but it's gonna get tricky. Yeah, I went right. I should have gone left probably, because I'm not making through this pattern here. Still at this point, I have 12 bombs, counting the other life that I had. So this is where the run is actually being played, is making sure that I get to the boss without losing another life. This is why I'm using a hyper here, because I don't mind using some resources to make sure I clench the clear. Pretty much same thing here, and I get another bomb back. So it's not really worth making those dodges if you're just going for the 1-0. You might as well just try and make it to the final boss with as many bombs as you like, as you can have. Interestingly enough, the final boss is actually not that difficult. At least to me, it did not feel difficult. I'm not gonna dodge much because it's just way too risky to dodge and risk losing all the bombs. But this is a pretty easy pattern, I think. The next couple of ones are also very dodgeable. This can get tricky, but it's doable. Still using a bomb to make sure I get the clear. Same thing here. Just sort of unloading the bombs so that I can try dodging properly afterwards. And it takes you a really long way. See, he's down to about a third of his life bar just by using a few bombs. So at this point, I tried to dodge this. This is the hardest part in the game, so I'm not gonna make it through. But I just have to use my bombs here and I'll get the clear anyway. So kind of an anticlimactic ending to this game, using a bunch of bombs to clear the final boss, but still I made it through. This shows that you can make a bunch of mistakes and still get the clear. So it is pretty cool in a way. It makes the game a bit special and a bit different. And some sections, it's all based on resource management, basically. So some sections will feel stressful and some will not. But yeah, overall pretty cool game. If you have access to this game somehow, I definitely recommend playing it and maybe going for a 1-0 or even scoring if you really like it. Anyway, that's it for today, folks. I hope this was enjoyable for someone out there. And if anyone has any thoughts or any experience with this legendary game, feel free to comment below. See ya!